Answer a few more of your questions. And so I did. Over some ensuing weeks and months after that, I read the Quran. And of course, I had made some questions, and I had to find a book on hadith. Not easy to find in English in Turkey, but you know, it could be done. And I was able to read a bit more, and suddenly I had a lot of questions. Up to now, I've been satisfied with Islam as a very nice thing that everybody seemed to be enjoying. Everybody seemed to be happy with it, and it was part of their life, but it wasn't for me. Now I'd read it, and I realised, oh, really, this is for everybody. So what's my excuse? I didn't have an excuse. What I had was questions. Thousands and thousands of questions.
بنور العظيم الكريم العزيز حكيم الرحيم الحليم السلام يا سبحان الله يا سبحان
So in 1997, after a very, very interesting 3.5 years in Turkey, I came back to Dubai through a series of coincidences of people you know and chance circumstances, but yet again Dubai brought me back. At the time I wasn't sure why. I couldn't think why I was coming back to Dubai, but I think I realised soon afterwards. I joined the Belhassa family business, and there I found something a bit special. There I found someone who's your boss and is your friend. And quickly I became very close with some members of the family, particularly Majid Belhassa. And he kind of took me under his wing, and he discovered to his dismay that I'd learned a great deal about Islam, but I had not made any proper use of it. In other words, quite simply, I hadn't embraced Islam. After many conversations we'd had in the first year I was there, he came to me one day and he said, I think there might be some guys here who might be able to answer some of your questions at last, some European Muslims who have got this interesting idea that they can reintroduce the gold dinar and the silver dirham as the currency of the Muslims on a global basis. I, being an accountant and being General Smart Alex, said, absolutely no way, they must be nuts, no chance, forget it. And he said, fantastic, that's great, because we're having dinner with them tonight, so maybe you can tell them yourself. And I, in combative mood, said, yeah, sure, you know, yeah, I'll sort them out. I'll tell them why it doesn't work. And so I met these guys. There's two Spaniards, one German, as it was at the time, in that group. And we had a very interesting conversation. And this, of course, was the conversation I guess I've been waiting for a long, long time. So I asked my questions, and it went on like this. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. The restaurant threw us out. We stood out in the street. Midnight passed, we still stood in the street. We stood there in Garhoud. The year was 2000, it was May. It was a Wednesday night, and about midnight or so, eventually, one of these guys said to me, so, have we answered all your questions? And I stood there with my hands on my hips, and I looked up at the sky, and I looked down at the ground, and all those things you do when you're searching desperately for an escape route, thinking I must be able to get out of this somehow. I seem to have been cornered in this argument. And I said, no, I guess I've answered all the questions now. And they said, fine, then you need to come along on Friday and say the Shahada. And I said, what? And by the time we shook hands and left that evening, I'd agreed that's what I would do. Sure enough, that Friday morning, I got up that morning and realised this was going to be a kind of a different day. I took ghusl and I went to see them. We had breakfast and we went round to the Grand Mosque in Jumeirah. It was for the Jummah prayer, so the place was full, really full. Now, I don't know how many, more than 1,000 men in there, full up to the outside, inside, everywhere, and the Sheikh was as much surprised as I was to find himself with some white guy from heaven knows where, suddenly turning up to shake his hand to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, for him. And we were very happy, and 800 or 1,000 men were also very happy. I was never been hugged so much. I was hugged to death. And I met some people that day who are still my friends now. People who I met in that mosque at that time are still my friends on a daily basis now. I had a very crazy day. I went around and I visited people's houses, local people's houses, 2 different mosques, and many things washed over me like a great big wave. And I found myself praying at home the next day and crying, not sure what to make of what I'd done, just knowing that I turned over a big page. Anyway, that page stayed turned. I've never looked back.